our business, if I can call it that way, the media business, boy, has it changed. But start, for example, with Warner Brothers Discovery, which is really taking it right now. Their stock value is down. They've got a lot of debt, over $40 billion in debt. What do you do there? Is it a problem with the strategy or the execution?
It's a problem with the industry that they find themselves in, is what it is. And this goes way beyond just Warner Brothers Discovery. So, in their case, they've got to swim in the same waters as every legacy media company. They've got a lot of brands. They've got a lot of assets. The main driver of their profit has been the cable TV networks, TNT, TBS, CNN, et cetera. And just the raw amount of revenue available to cable TV-driven businesses has shrunk considerably. The other component of their business, the studio business, same thing, just the pool of money available for them and all of their competitors to make has shrunk. Subscriber fees that the cable distributors are paying have shrunk because viewers have left. So your monthly income on a per subscriber basis has plummeted. And as a result, also, advertising revenues have plummeted. And so, of course, you've got to retrench. You've got to make cuts. They're all doing it. You mentioned Paramount just began their wave of layoffs, their latest wave of layoffs today. And even Axios, which is a digital-only business, they've been through their biggest layoff in the past couple of weeks. So in general, media is really coming to terms with the reality that it's more than ever an industry dominated by the tech giants, the Apples and the Amazons, and certainly Google, which owns YouTube, which is a monster. The industry is dominated by those players, and there's just less opportunity for content creators.
So what do you do in that environment if you're running one of these big media companies? I mean, I think both of our experiences, it's awfully hard to cut yourself to success. You may have to cut, but it's hard to get to success by cutting. Often you then start to think about deals, and John Malone, after all, is the force behind the throne there at Warner Brothers Discovery. Are there deals that could be done, consolidation deals, that might make things better?
Well, you're going to probably look to your left and your right to see who's in the same boat. I think that was their original strategy at Discovery when they did the acquisition of Warner Media, was to get big enough that they can maybe be the biggest kid on the block and dictate the terms of other acquisitions and start doing roll-ups of other players. Now they're not the biggest kid on the block. Now their market cap has taken such a severe hit that the deal numbers themselves are going to be much smaller. But that's what's going to happen is consolidation for all of these guys. You have a new team coming into Paramount, David Ellison and Jeff Shell, who's so sharp. They at least have the benefit of beginner's mind. That is, they can look at that Paramount portfolio of companies in a fresh way, and they also don't have the legacy relationships inside the company, and they can maybe make some tougher decisions. But it's tricky moving forward. Warner Brothers Discovery is going to have to find consolidation partners, merger partners. And just last month in Sun Valley at the big media conference, David Zaslav was bemoaning the excessive government regulation in his mind, that prevents them from making mergers too easily.
So it's one thing to get bigger. People like to get bigger. What about also getting smaller in this respect? Netflix has done pretty well for itself with basically, if I can put it this way, a movie studio hooked onto a streaming service without all those pesky linear channels that you and I have worked with through the year. Is that a strategy to say, let's double down on the production and the streaming, and let's get rid of the businesses or do something about the business that aren't going anywhere? They're not growing.
Netflix has had the advantage always of being a tech-first company that applied that technology to media content and distribution. At first, just distribution. And now they're in the content business as well. And their market cap is, 20 times that of Warner Brothers Discovery at this point. And so they've got that inherent advantage. The problem is that everything we're seeing today is the result of the impact of technology on content distribution, right? We went from cable and broadcast to internet distribution of content. What's about to happen now is the massive disruption of content production thanks to AI. there's just going to be more and more less and less expensive content out there. And the legacy companies cannot really play in that space. You can't turn Warner Brothers into YouTube. YouTube is able to sit there and just allow all their users to post whatever they want. And in the time that we're talking, there are probably going to be 1 million new videos posted to YouTube just in this short time frame. And they can just sit back and present it to everyone. And at the same time, the other power that a YouTube has is all that data collection, all that information about who's posting, what they post, who's watching, what they watch, when they leave, when they come back, so that YouTube possesses this vast trove of audience insight that they can then re-funnel back into their marketing decisions, their programming decisions. What do we buy? Do we buy the NFL Sunday ticket package? Yes, we do, they've decided, right? And now they can analyze behaviors around that as they make other decisions about getting into other aspects of sports rights. And pretty soon, you've got these giants now competing for the same content that's been driving the legacy players for the last several decades. Sports, news, right? And now they're taking all that away from the legacy players as well. Their way out of this to a degree, they can supply programming as they resumed doing with some of the HBO programming and all some of the Max programming. They can start to supply others with that programming as well, and just settle into that niche of being a content supplier. But the issue is that the kind of content that younger viewers are consuming in droves is not the fancy studio productions. It's Mr. Beast on YouTube. It's rudimentary, shot on a cell phone, and the audience loves that. And, you know, that's the history of disruption in all businesses. Cheaper, easier, more accessible tends to win the day. It gets a foothold, and then it expands up into more expensive. And so you've got your subscription tiers of YouTube as well, if you want to watch that. But that's how the castle walls collapse around the legacy players.
And Jonathan, as you point out, it's not just what people are watching, it's also knowing exactly who's watching it. It's having the data, and you have the big tech companies have a huge advantage. It's hard for me at least to see how the legacy media companies are going to try to catch up with a Google on the data. But do the legacy companies offer anything to a Google or a Meta or somebody with the data? Do they offer anything that could have some sort of a relationship there that could get some of the access to the data and supply something to the big tech companies?
Yeah, they can supply content. They can supply hit shows, which is what fuels all these services. You know, if you're Netflix, you're looking for the next big hit reality series, documentary series, entertainment special, et cetera. So you need content, and you don't want to keep spending at the level that some of these streamers were initially spending at in order to fuel that. So the legacy media companies may become lower cost suppliers of higher end, more polished content. Problem is that with the advent of AI, the tools for creation are going to be available at lower cost to more creators. And so there's going to be a wider pool of potential content for all these streaming services. And Mr. Beast, I cited, he's by far the runaway hit of YouTube, which is the largest network on the planet. And his stuff really doesn't cost that much to produce, and he can churn out a lot of it, and the audience eats it up. So what are you to do if you're a movie studio that's got to spend close to $1 billion to create and launch a Barbie or an Oppenheimer, or the next hit, Mission Impossible? I think the closing ceremonies of the Olympics are a good metaphor for what the legacy companies are faced with, which is you've got to resort to like Tom Cruise jumping off the roof in order to maintain your standing. And, Tom being emblematic of the Paramount Mission Impossible franchise. And that's about the length that they've got to go in order to get us to watch and in a B2B sense to do business with them.